I love it.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial. Essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivate these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and featured titan today, Antoinne Glover. Antoinne,
What's up, my man?
Thanks so much, man.
Woo!
I am so excited to have you, honored. I know there's so many people in anticipation just to kind of get to know you a little bit more, feel your energy.
Yeah.
And just so everybody knows, if you haven't experienced this man in your life, you need some Antoinne in your life. He's amazing. The energy, hopefully you'll feel a fraction of it coming through the camera here, audio if you're listening to the podcast. So Antoinne, let's just dive in if you're cool with that.
Hey, I am cool with it. Thank you for the opportunity. I thought it was a joke.
Ah, come on.
I get an email and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to interview you," and I go, "Yeah, whatever, Gary Martinez."
Hey, Gary.
Yeah, it's a nice joke. But no, all kidding aside, I can't thank you enough for considering me to be part of your growing show.
Yes, and thank you. And seriously, we were kind of discussing this prior to rolling live here.
Yeah.
But Antoinne, what you've done in the period of time that you've done it in is incredible. The spotlight needs to be on you, so more people really understand what your why is, your mentality, and your drive, so that they can take bits and pieces of that and really dramatically improve their real estate business. So it's an honor, and everybody's going to thank me later that Antoinne is on this episode for sure. So let's just dive in and tell everybody a little about yourself.
Well, for those that don't know my story, I'll give you a quick background. I was fortunate enough at 16, I started in radio. And so when my friends were flipping burgers, doing their thing, I was hanging out and doing news radio. My idol was like Paul Harvey.
Wow.
For you millennials out there, yes, Google Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey, good day, right?
The rest of the story,
Yeah.
right? And so that's where my journey from the media began. Okay. And I eventually, in my 20s, got into the TV world.
Love it.
And it was night and day from radio to TV. But I learned a valuable lesson shortly thereafter 9/11. I'll quickly back up. I moved out here 19 years ago.
Okay.
And as soon as 9/11 hit, I finally realized that telling you you're going to die, find out tonight at 5 how, wasn't for me anymore.
Wow.
It was a weird feeling because I was getting to that point, especially when you started so young.
Sure.
When I would ask myself, I'm not happy what I'm doing right now. If I didn't have a voice for radio and if I didn't have a face for TV, what would I do?
Good point.
It scared the bejesus out of me. I didn't know what to do. So I traded in my tie for an apron and I started serving tables. I thought maybe I would open up my own restaurant one day.
Unreal.
Don't do it.
Stay away from the restaurant business, everybody.
Don't do it. So, so I wanted to learn the ropes. I did casual dining. Then I started doing fine dining, the pepper tree and what have you.
Okay.
And I really loved it. I loved the interaction with people. And you would have thought that being on TV and radio, I had the great personality with people.
Sure.
Telling you, if you haven't done restaurant, that's interesting. You don't mess with people's hunger.
Yes, well said. And I find that there's so many top tier professionals that have started in that particular business. There's so much to be serving people and really understanding their needs and what's going on and remembering names and faces. The interaction of customer service is crucial for any business.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are watching that know that path. So
Yeah.
very interesting into that.
Yeah, and then there was this gentleman by the name of Dave Karcher.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you've heard that,
a fellow
guys.
Titan.
A
Hey,
fellow
Dave, if you're
Titan,
watching.
brother.
Actually, you're probably not watching. But yeah.
Hello.
Hey, Dave.
But no, when I was managing at a restaurant and that he would come to often, and this is about 7 years ago. I'll never forget, and of course, it was the time when you would talk to a realtor and say, how's everything going? Like you just lost your dog or whatever.
Right.
And Dave with his big smile said, man, I'm having the time of my life.
Wow.
He goes, you should really think about getting into real estate. I think you would do really well. And once again, ironically enough, I was a manager at the time, like I said. I traded in my tie for an apron, went back to serving, went to Jones Real Estate School. Yes, you may remember that.
Yeah,
that was like
it.
the cool kid in town. Now, I went to real estate school, and then I realized realized that I didn't have a lot of money in my bank account to become a realtor at a time that wasn't the best. And I was actually going to be working, ironically enough, this is kind of how everything kind of comes around.
Yeah.
I was actually going to be working with Gary and Amy
Okay.
at their previous real estate company.
Sure.
And they were the ones that actually sat me down and said, you know, it's not the best time right now to probably start your business, but what about getting into the new build side? And that's where the journey began.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unreal.
And it was an overnight success, I like to say, after about 8 years.
Yeah. Overnight success after 8 years. That's beautiful into that. And just to address the few individuals that you brought up, it's incredible the level or caliber of professional that had engaged with you just in happenstance, and then you getting involved with these people and other successful people wanting to see success out of you. I think that's crucially important.
You want to know what I did?
Hit me.
Do you guys want to know the secret of what I did?
Here it is. Not too loud.
Here
loud.
Here it is. I had no idea what I was doing getting into the real estate world. So while I was going to real estate school and serving tables and waiting tables at night, once a week, I would pick a neighborhood. And I would drive around and I'd write down all the realtors that had their signs for listings, that had listings. And then I would watch the ones that would say price reduced, price reduced, price reduced, and I would scratch them off my list. And the ones that would say under contract, under contract, under contract, I would write down their phone number and I would call them. Jeff Ryder, you being one of them, Gary Martinez.
Jeff.
I mean, I'm telling you, all these people that I really owe a lot to, that I picked up the phone. Some of them I didn't even know.
Sure.
And I said, hey, my name's Antoinne Glover. You don't know me, but can I buy you a cup of coffee and pick your brain about real estate?
Sure.
And that 10 minutes always turned into 20, 30, 40 minutes. And here's the interesting part about it. 100% of them said absolutely.
Wow.
Said absolutely.
Huge.
And I tell you this because you may be in real estate, you may be starting out in real estate or another business venture.
Sure.
That applies to anybody. Find somebody who's doing what you want to do and doing it well, and go, what did you do?
Yeah. Say hi. Reach out.
Can I buy you a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to be 100% transparent. In addition to that,
Sure.
I barely had enough money for a cup of coffee.
Wow, man.
I really didn't. It was at a time in my life where I would look at my gas gauge or do I pay my light bill,
Unreal.
right? And so I don't say that for people to go, feel sorry for me.
Sure.
But I say that is because I know, maybe that's why I'm so humble too. I know where I began.
Sure.
And my why was so deep that I wanted to get out of that situation in my life.
Okay.
The only way to do it is to ask somebody, what are you doing? And do it.
There's so much information in there, everybody, and we're not even to the meat of this interview yet, so hopefully you wrote that down on top of it. Antoinne, you mentioned why, and that's a beautiful transition to the next question is, what is your why? I mean, what motivates you to do what you do to the level that you do it at?
It's not about me. And it's interesting. Yeah, I want to, for my family, and I want all those great things out of life.
Sure.
But the moment that I realized that it was not about me is when everything opened up. My why is you. My why is you. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm grateful.
Sure.
And I have a grateful journal. And the third thing never changes. I'm grateful to be able to add value in the lives of others today. And because of that, in my opinion, this is just for me, that is the crux. That's the meat, if you will, that's really has launched me in so many different ways. Not even just real estate, spiritually, financially, in the real estate world, with my friends, wherever I go. Yeah.
And Antoinne, I think that's a beautiful why, and it speaks volumes about your heart and your humility and your desire to give. You're a giver first. The end result of transactions and money are essentially what road you've paved ahead of time to do the right things. So something that I do want to address as well, a part of being a Titan is not just about overall production and value and commission. It's impacting the community and caring and doing it the right way, really setting that expectation of the bar as a real estate professional. Huge, huge kudos to that, Antoinne. because you really hit it and then some. So if anybody's watching, they are not all created equal, and here's a beautiful example of what you're really looking for a true professional. So let's go into the advisory portion of this. And there's so many people that are watching, whether they're new or seasoned.
Oh, great, now you got me all nervous now.
Oh, no, you're good. Come on, let's put in it. Not the pressure.
That's what Gary does. I'm joking, Gary.
This is twice already. We'll have a Gary count.
Yeah.
So going into it, looking at it, and if you could look at your career thus far, pick or choose one or two things that you added to your business that took it from one level to the next. What does that look like for you?
Being intentional. Being intentional and being intentional. So what do I mean by that? Let me just go back to that. Is, I think a lot of times we just, we get into a business and we just go, well, now I'm in that business. So I'm a realtor.
Right.
All right. So all my friends and family are going to use me. Let me tell you what, I've had a lot of great friends that haven't used me.
Sure. Right. Reality.
It's okay. But when I wake up, I'm intentional. So what do I mean by that? Now, what I do in my ritual, my routine.
You wouldn't mind sharing a little bit of that, because everybody's going to want to bottle you up when this is all done. I'll have what he's having.
Yeah, I'll have that. What I do, it may or may not work for you. But I know that when I'm intentional, when I wake up in the morning, I've mentioned my grateful journal, right? 3 things that I'm grateful for. It doesn't have to be elaborate. I'm not joking. There's times where I go, I'm grateful for this black cup of coffee.
Wow.
And just really enjoy that moment. Whatever the case may be. So I have my grateful journal. And then I have my devotionals.
Okay.
Did I say I'm a man of God? Yes. And I am not, and I'm not afraid to say it as well. And I read my devotionals. The best personal development book is the Bible. We'll get into more books, and I have other books that I'd like to recommend as well. And then I go to the gym. Mm-hmm. Go figure. What I do is I feed my mind, and then I feed my body. And then people are wondering where I get all this energy.
Right.
Think about this, and this is a great way, a great analogy I like to use in regards of why I do what I do and the energy that I have.
Right.
So I don't watch the news.
Right.
To no surprise. I'm not a watcher. I haven't watched news, ironically enough, because I was a TV news reporter, news anchor.
Sure.
For about 7 years. And so having said that, imagine I tell you, before I go to the gym, I drink a 6-pack of beer, 6-pack of Coke, a couple of donuts, and some bacon.
Right.
Now, you don't even have to work out to know how ridiculous that sounds.
Sure, even though that might be a good diet for someone.
For someone, right? But that's so ridiculous.
Right.
Why would you treat your brain any differently?
Good point.
How can you honestly sit there? And if you watch the news, that's fine. But I want you to think about this. And I always want people to think.
Right.
How can you start your day off with death, murder, destruction? And then you go out into the world and you're like, oh, life's horrible and sucks and I don't know what's going to happen and, oh, we're all going to die.
Right.
In your business, think about that.
Sure.
It will translate into, man, that gal's negative.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with it. Earl Nightingale, this is the guy that did it for me.
Okay.
YouTube this guy, The Strangest Secret. What he said in there scared me straight.
Wow.
Your mind doesn't care what you feed it. It only grows what you feed it. It doesn't care. Yeah. So if you're feeding yourself that negativity, you're going to be negative. Wow. So I started thinking, well, what if I did the opposite? And that is the major crux. That's the key for me.
Okay.
That actually drives my positivity. So when people are out there and they go, I don't even know what you do, but I just love your energy, I love your attitude. What do you do? Well, it just so happens I help people buy, sell, and invest in real estate.
There you go.
That's interesting. My wife and I,
it starts it out. And what I love about the attitude, the mindset, mentality of being positive and feeding it properly to grow is anybody out there who's watching or listening to this, anybody can be that way.
Yeah.
Anybody can make it a point to say, this is how I want to live my life and this is the direction I want to go. And just like you're doing right now, there's no excuse. It's just the ones that you set for yourself that way as far as the limitations. So I love that. And it's nothing crazy, right? It's no get wealthy quick scheme or, do these things. It's putting in the work, being positive in mentality, and you will see your whole life flourish. Light attracts light. You'll see growth for personally and professionally, which
Yeah.
I think is huge for everybody out there. So mindset. Anything else that comes to mind that way that really scaled your business, that took it up a notch, or that you're finding success with?
Well, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't be a silent salesman.
Sure.
I ask tons of questions. I don't tell people I'm a realtor.
Right.
I mean, how weird would it be? It doesn't even matter what profession you are.
Right.
Imagine going to a barbecue at some friend's house and
Sure.
you're a doctor and you're like, hey, I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
Anybody need a doctor? Do you need a doctor? Hey, do you need a... No, you would
So
be...
weird.
You would be weird.
You would not be re-invited back.
No, they'd be like, dude, that dude's a doctor, but
Yeah.
I need a doctor, but not that kind of doctor. That guy
guy.
needs a head doctor.
Yeah.
And so write these down, and I tell you what, we do this instinctively. FORM. And I live by it every moment I talk to anybody.
Wow.
How's the family, Greg?
Great.
How's work going? Occupation?
Fantastic.
That's awesome. Hey, I can't believe Christmas is here. What do you got going on this Christmas?
Families coming in, that sort of thing.
There it is. Wow, you're gonna be your brand new dad.
Yeah.
Wow, how does that feel?
Feels
right?
great.
Feels great.
So that is a beautiful way to break that down. So hopefully everybody wrote that down on there too. So
FORM, family, occupation, recreation, motivation.
that's
That's
huge.
what we do anyway.
Yeah.
We do that anyway. And through that engagement, guess what you are inevitably going to ask me? How's your family?
Right.
What's been going on? How's the real estate? Dun, 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 and back and forth. And just being natural and not weird, which is ironically enough hard to do when we get into this industry.
Well said.
It's the hardest thing to do, to be natural.
Yep.
I remember when I was started in radio and television, and they said, just do whatever you can to be natural. I'm like,
Lights, camera, live.
makeup and all this, and like teleprompters, and just be natural. But it's a hard skill to learn. But here it is. There's 680,000 people in Colorado Springs proper.
Wow.
680,000.
It's crazy.
That's a lot of practice.
Yes, it is. a lot
A lot of
potential
practice. So
opportunities.
so being positive, going back to that, it's your reticular alert system, right? And if you're not familiar with that, if you buy a blue car and all of a sudden you're driving around, you're like, everybody has a blue car.
Wow.
The blue car has always been there, but now you're just paying attention to it. So now if you feed your mind nothing but positivity,
Right.
guess what your mind only looks for? Positive things in other people that you can compliment them on sincerely. That's a great time. No, really, it is. It's actually a great time.
Oh, thank you, Antoinne.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
Hey, that's a good-looking car. While you're pumping gas, wow, what year is that? Wow, you're looking for great things to look in other people. A barista.
Yeah.
You know what? You did an awesome job, if he or she truly did.
Right. Being genuine.
And you start looking for great things in other people.
Wow. That right there, worth the whole episode. All right, I guess we're done, everybody.
That's it, ladies and
See you later. No, Antoine, that was super good advice. There's so many different keys for people to take away. And again, hopefully you took really good notes. I'll have a lot listed down in the comments below so that you can continually feed and grow like Antoine is. Now, let's go into the tricky portion of this particular
All right.
show.
Tricky.
It's the challenge question, my friend. So on the complete opposite of the positive, there is some negativity in life, but we all deal with challenges. Whether it's in the past, now, or in the
Yeah.
future, no one's exempt. But in the positive nature, it's not so much what happens, but how we respond. I think that really separates us, from the thought process. So if you could pick a challenge that you dealt with, that you overcame,
Yeah.
became a stronger man because of it, what does that
Wow.
look like?
Yeah, it's going back to the days of just not having money.
Sure.
And it was interesting. There's a twofold answer to this.
Okay.
Because I was in a financial part of my life when I was working hard. I was working four different restaurants at the same time,
Wow.
and just trying to make ends meet, and things were just not happening. So fast forward, I get into the new build side, and I start having some success, and I still felt that interesting void.
Wow.
And so then I realized, now looking back, as Steve Jobs used to say,
Right.
said in a commencement speech, looking backwards at the dots, they all make sense. But now looking forward, those challenges that I had were actually the best things for me.
Wow.
And now people think I'm a little strange.
I don't know why.
I don't
What's
know
the
why.
matter with you
but
people?
now I actually look forward to adversity. Here it is. Summer's not going to last forever. Right? It lasts for 3 months.
Sure.
Don't get faked out and think, well, I guess I got to put away my coat.
Sure.
Right? And then it's going to snow. But don't worry about it. It's going to get better.
Right.
And so knowing that, hey, listen, people that you know and love are going to die and hurt you, and things in life just aren't going to be fair.
Right.
But guess what? The rest of us.
No one's exempt from that.
No one is exempt from it. And so knowing that going into this thing that we call life, you know, the contrast between literally having ducktail, I'll never forget, I just had ducktail, when I took Gary.
Yeah.
This is number 3, Gary.
Okay.
But when I took Gary out to lunch, and
Yeah.
he's like, no, I'll get it, buddy.
Sure.
I literally had duct tape on my 93 Nissan Pathfinder.
Wow.
Barely had enough gas in there. I had saved up some money so I can take him out to him and Amy, out to Jason's Deli. I'll never forget it. And just knowing and just going, man, if I can just get there, And there was always something inside of me that even though I didn't have a lot, I used to tell myself I have a multi-billion-dollar brain, and no one's paying me for it yet. And every table that I would go and I would do over-the-top service with, I would do it because it was just who I was, but I never knew who I was serving. Because that person could have been a person of influence to say, you are the person I was looking for and I have an opportunity.
Right.
And ironically enough, going full circle, guess who it was that helped launch this career?
Sure.
Dave Karcher.
Yeah.
Right? And who was sitting at a table, who I was serving, that said, there's something about you, I think you would do well in this industry.
Wow.
See, full circle, huh?
And was Dave more than right? Just so that it comes through. And I think that you're talking about adversity and things along those lines. Financial struggle and pain is felt across the world, and I think that there are certain instances where I love the beautiful note that you had that billion-dollar brain, that mind, and you just weren't being paid yet. You didn't let it stifle you, working multiple jobs, literally having duct tape on your car, determining whether you were going to put gas in your tank or pay a bill or put food on the table, truly understanding that and not letting it stop you. Continually driving and moving forward, no excuses. And look at where you are now.
Yeah.
Look at what you've done
Thank you.
now. Right?
Thank you.
And I find that to be ultra inspiring for anybody out there who has an excuse of I'm dealing with this, or I can't do this, or I can't. Look at what this man has done so far. And it comes down to the positive nature of the work ethic and the drive determination. That resonates in everything that you've done, everything that you touch. Anybody that knows this man and has been a part of you and your life feels that energy, feels that. And it's only right that it's in a trajectory and upward to support your family and your future and your goals too, Antoinne. So that was a beautiful share.
Well, thank you. And you know, I remember listening to this, and everybody can relate to this. Can you imagine, Greg, you know, a book about Greg Fowler and his life?
Oh, gosh.
Watch. And
boring read.
But just imagine this.
Sure.
Chapter 1, everything's fine. Chapter 2, everything is just fine. Chapter 3, everything is still just fine.
Wow.
How likely would you be to finish that book?
Slim.
Right?
That would have been thrown.
And that is the story of our lives. You have to have them, because there's going to be another Antoinne on the other side that says, I can't do it. And if I don't have a story, which we all do,
Right.
if I don't have a story, how can I relate to you? How can I be empathetic to what's going on in your life? We all need it. So if you know that it's inevitable, and you know that you need it in order to grow, bam.
There it is.
So when it comes, just bring it on. But you told me no, it's all right. You
All
told
right.
me yes, awesome. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You keep on going. And it has nothing about, it's not about you.
I love it. The message into there is so inspiring. And again, I know there's so many people that are going to be touched by this. And Antoinne, it's thank you for sharing, because it's not easy to kind of air your stuff out in front of everybody that way. But really, really good takeaways continuing into this particular episode. So let's go into the next question. Let's go a little softer for everybody. It's not as deep, you know. We'll loosen up a little bit. So this is actually one of my favorite questions.
Yeah.
If you could travel back in time and give young Antoinne a piece of advice or two, what would you say to your younger self?
If I would listen.
If you would listen. That's a good point. And there's some truth behind that. You pick a time frame where you might listen.
Right.
What would you say? Right?
Totally right. I lived this today, and I really wish I would have got this so many years ago. Work harder, and I really want you, if you guys want to write anything that I've said down, I want you to really write this down. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job to make an investment for your future. You can work hard on your job, you can make a living.
Right.
You work harder on yourself, you can make a fortune.
Wow. That literally should be a placard over people's walls right there.
And I got to give credit to one of my mentors, the late, great Jim Rohn.
Okay.
And I live by that every day. It doesn't matter if you're flipping burgers and can't stand it, be the best burger flipper. Right. And start getting a book and reading and say, I'm not going to be here that long. I tell you what, that's when you have control over it, even when you're in a situation where you don't feel like you are in control.
Sure.
Yeah.
Antoinne, I absolutely love that, and that's not just good for your younger self during the time frame of listening, right? But for everybody out there who is really watching and listening to what you just said there, that's huge advice to take away and really put to the core of your life. Yeah. There are so many people out there that are working the 9 to 5 and working for somebody else. I think it's that old adage, if you don't really get out there and go after your own dreams, somebody's going to hire you to help build theirs.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what it comes down to. So that's really what you're pushing out there, and I love that mentality, the entrepreneurial spirit, the American dream. You know, we live in such a beautiful country that we're allowed to do these things, and we shouldn't take that for granted. So that's beautiful advice, through and through, all the way out there. I love that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. There's a time in a lot of our lives that we just put a limit on ourselves. Mm-hmm. Could be from school or just whatever the case may be. And a great way to really think about it is ask yourself, how tall does a tree grow? Oh, you tell me. If it's in the right conditions, in the right soil, as big as it can be. And God created us to be that. Do you know why you want more out of life? Because that's God inside of all of us saying, there's more. There's more. The reason why you don't feel good because you want more is because that's a good feeling. Sure. That, hey, what else can I do? Who else can I touch? Yeah.
That's big. Huge stuff, man.
Woo!
I'm telling you, I'm loving this. This is so good.
Hey, man, can I get an amen?
This is great. Here we go. But I absolutely love, just the vibe and energy. And again, hopefully you guys are feeling this the same way that I'm feeling. This is why you want to be around him more if you can. Just latch on to him if you get an opportunity. So let's go into the feeding of the mind portion. Yep. There's a lot of professionals that are watching this particular series that want to know what the Titans are feeding their minds. How are they growing? What are they really doing to excel in their business and their life? So, books you're reading, podcasts you're listening to, influencers on social media, or coaches. What are you feeding your mind?
Podcast, Founder to CEO, Brian Buffini every Tuesday. Okay. I just love those tidbits. Tom Ferry, David Ralph. It's called Join Up Dots. Okay. I was just on a podcast yesterday. Congrats. That was my first little podcast. It was so fun. I love it. Kimberly Scott. She's great. She's down there in Dallas. Hello, Kimberly. Those are the podcasts that I continually feed my mind. Okay. Founder to CEO I love because they are founders to a CEO. And they have their various companies. But they have the same trials and tribulations on, when they first founded whatever company to having employees and then what do you do when you get to a CEO? It's just a different mindset. And think about this in real estate. You are the founder and CEO of your own business. Right. That's, at the end of the day, I don't sit back and, I need some more leads from my managing broker. Right. This is my business. Right. And so listening to podcasts from other various business owners and CEOs really helps me bolster up my business. Books that I read, oh, geez Louise, are actually books that I study.
Yes, there's a difference.
There is. I read a book probably about 3-4 times in a year.
Great.
And I highlight it and I take notes and I really just absorb it. One that I always study is Think and Grow Rich.
Great. Napoleon.
And it's a trip. The more you read it, it's a different book. And I think a lot of times you just become different.
Yep.
And
Every time.
Every time. Another one, and I was going to get you this, I still will,
Oh, yeah.
is The Science of Getting Rich
Oh, fantastic.
by Wallace D. Wattles, written in 1911.
Okay.
Short read, but wealth of information. And going back to what you said, it reminded me of the philosophy. I don't compete. When you have a competitive mindset, and I know there's some people that are like, whoa, what do you mean?
Wait a minute
what?
here.
You lose the point. To compete, that means you have to put down something else. You have to hold somebody down in order for you to get what you want. My job is to give a fair product or a service to somebody that will help them up.
Love it.
And I need to create that environment. How do you create that versus trying to keep somebody down so you can get that? It's a beautiful read. Science of Getting Rich, Wallace D. Wattles. I'm a huge John Maxwell fan. Just listened to on a podcast, Grant Cardone on the way in.
Oh, yeah.
It's so, what a contrast, right?
Different contrast, great info.
Great info. John C. Maxwell, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That's fantastic. John Maxwell says take 1 month per law. I love the law of the lid. And if you're the law of the lid is, he's just an awesome guy.
Wow.
The law of the lid, it's really cool. If you think about it, if you're a leader in an organization, doesn't matter if it's you, and if it's you may want to take heart to this.
You better be listening.
You better be listening to this because this is 100% true. Let's say if a 10 is the best leader you can be, and you're a 5 from a leader's perspective, the best you can be from your employees is a 4 or even a 3 because there's a lid. So I need to grow myself. So maybe eventually I have a team or not. I'm on a team.
Right.
And I want to lift myself up even higher so I can help pull people to their potential.
I love it.
So yeah, that's one of my favorite laws.
Yeah.
Laws of the lid.
For sure, and there's so many, good data and information, things like that.
Yep.
And as always, I'm going to have all those listed down below so you guys can feed your mind and follow the same way that this man does and really grow to that next level. So, Antoinne, this has been chock full of amazing information. I mean, the nuggets have just been off the charts. I know that everybody's freaking out at this particular episode. So I want to wrap everything up with a final question and a final message for everybody out there. If you could sum up your brand, you as a professional, you as a man, with a quote or a mantra that you live by, what does that look like for Antoinne Glover?
Wow. See, wow, that's a good one. A good quote, a good mantra that kind of sums who this Antoinne was.
Who this guy is.
Who is this guy? A man of love. I think the most important word in the Bible is love. And I want people to think of me, Stephen Covey, I remember in one of his books, Habits of Highly Effective People, he says, what would you want people to say at your funeral? Antoinne was a man of love.
I hear that. And I think that markets everything and packages everything up beautifully when it comes to that because you can feel the love, you can feel the intensity, the true nature, the genuine nature of who you are and what you do, what you've done and continue to do, Antoinne. You are a true professional. You're a real estate titan, my friend.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. Honored to have you.
Woo!
This has been great,
We
everybody.
did it.
It's done. We did it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Hold on.
P.S. Here we go.
I am going to be doing something for you. I'm going to be interviewing this guy in 2019. We'll pick a day. And it's going to be called The Man Behind the Tie.
This tie here.
He's not going to wear a tie. He's going to be just chilling. And we're maybe your place, but I just want you, and I want to switch the role.
Love it.
And I want to interview you, and I want them to know you, the other side. I mean, this guy is who he is on camera and off, but I want to know who you are, where you came from, and because what you have done thus far in your life is simply amazing. And what you have done for me, from the social media, just to being a great friend, I can't thank you enough. And the way I want to repay that back to you is to record you in your life.
Well,
and maybe one day we'll read your book.
This guy, I'm telling you, give me another hand. Antoinne, thank you so much, man.
Right.
This has been awesome. And everybody, thank you for your time and attention, your love and support. Every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch you on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.
All right.